All right, welcome back to the Moments from To Experience Radio Show. Our first guest is here. She is a millennial therapist. She is an author, a writer. She enjoys storytelling. She is a leader. She is a game changer. So she was one of the authors at participated in August Cafe 36 in October. So, right. So let's welcome this author, Janay Harden. How are you this morning?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. How was your week?
It was good. It was warm, so so I got to get outside. I got to go to the park, spend some time by the water, so it was good.
Okay, wonderful. So how has your 2023 been so far? I know
so far it's been really good for me, only because I decide that it's good. So I put it, in my mind that this is my year. Every year is my year, so I really try to just live by that every day. So it's been going good so far.
That's wonderful. So let's get started with you talking about your journey to where you are today. Mm-hmm. Who is Janay Harden, and who was she growing up?
Growing up, she, even as a small child, was a reader. I loved reading. I loved just the art of storytelling. I even loved, sitting around the elders in my family, listening to women still tell stories and just, talk about their youth and their childhood. And to me, there was always such a storytelling aspect of it that I just loved to hear about. So I always was just reading. I remember even getting in trouble because they found me. We were supposed to go outside for recess, and I stayed in the classroom. I was kind of just reading this book, and they're like, "What are you doing? Everybody's outside. You need to be out there too." But I've always been just a reader in my head, and I'm so grateful that it's something that's kind of persisted through my life.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. So you were an avid reader, yep. And that's throughout your high school life and college life too? Or?
Yeah. Basically, in high school, I was the editor of my high school newspaper. So, and that was just a role, again, I just kind of fell into, and it was just something that I loved words, and I loved putting them together, and actually the community aspect of it too, like bringing other people in and finding out what's important to them to tell a story about. So I kind of just fell into that, and then of course in college, I didn't do too much reading because I had to read those textbooks. And, it'd be read 50 pages by next Tuesday. And it's about nonsense. So I really didn't have, too much time to read in college, but I always knew it was something that centered me, and if I wanted to calm myself and I didn't want to, use substances or drink or do any of those things, reading could still really bring me back into alignment and bring me into a new world.
Question sidebar. So where did you grow up?
South Jersey.
South Jersey.
Yep. I grew up in Vineland.
Okay.
In Vineland. So it's not around Atlantic City, but that's the nearest major city.
Okay. Yeah. So you went to college in Jersey too?
Or? I did. I went to Rutgers. I went to Rutgers Camden.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So I went for bachelor's and master's.
Oh, okay.
And I really got a great education there. I met who I was supposed to meet at the time I was supposed to meet them, and everybody was just so influential, in my career at a time when I needed it.
Wonderful. So what was your major at Rutgers Camden?
It was social work.
Social work.
Yep. Okay. And when I first got there, my major was nursing. So, and again, it was such a journey, because when you go to college and when you start preparing for that, everybody's well, maybe you should think about nursing, women are nurses and they make great money. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's something I'll do. And then once I got there, I quickly realized this ain't it. This is not my ministry. So I actually I applied for the Rutgers nursing program and I didn't get in. And I started kind of looking for different things that I could do where my credits would transfer and I wouldn't have to take, all this extra time. Right. And it ended up being social work. So I was like, fine, I'll do that. And it was exactly what I needed for my path, my journey, and it just worked out so well for me. And that was what I was supposed to be doing.
Did you ever go to Rutgers, the main campus?
In New Brunswick?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I had to ask this sidebar.
Yeah.
So, you went to Rutgers, you started nursing. Well, then you didn't want to do nursing, you turned to social work. So, how did you lead that path to become a therapist?
I worked quite a few really tough, difficult jobs. You know, right out of college, I worked at an HIV clinic. And and I was there for about 3 years. And then I worked at the clinic, but I also ran groups in the jail. So in the Atlantic County and the Cumberland County Jail in New Jersey, I was running groups about like healthy sexual practices and, you know, risky behaviors and stuff like that. And then I transitioned into working for Child Protective Services. So that's another horrible job. You know, do not recommend.
What was your mindset? You say you did group in prisons. What was your mindset doing that? Like once a week, twice a week, depends on how you did it. How did you get through that? Because I know that was tough going to that type of environment. What was that like?
You know what? I feel like everything kind of built upon itself. You know, like it was one of those things, like how do they say, you know, you take one step, the staircase appears. You know, that was kind of how those jobs were influenced my life. So as I was there in the jails, I would be like shaking in my boots, like terrified, like all these things like literally happening around me. And I'm supposed to talk to you about wearing condoms and like all of these like weird things, you know, and it's just so many crazy things going on around me. But I also knew, like, you know, I got bills to pay. I got a job. Like, this is a job that I need to do, so I have to do this. So I kind of just sucked it up and, you know, did it. But on the flip side of that, I learned so many things. Like, I learned about public speaking. You know, I learned about talking about really heavy topics. You know, and I learned about just kind of even conflict resolution.
Right.
You know, because sometimes fights will break out right in my group. And, you know, the CO, the guards would be like kind of down somewhere and I'd be like, all right, guys, like, come on, like, what are we doing? You know, we have to like figure this out. We have to resolve this before, you know, they shut the whole thing down. So, yeah, I definitely learned a lot. And it was something, like I said, that kind of built upon itself. And it's been a beautiful experience.
So now, so that kind of lets you be a therapist. So what is your distinct? I know everyone has their things like is it like social work or is relationship, family. So what is your distinct thing as a therapist?
So I only work with women of color.
Okay.
My entire practice is geared towards women of color. And I'm very proud of that too. I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to create a space just for Black women. You know, like I was talking to one of my other clients a few weeks ago and she said something that was like so Black. It was such like a Black statement, but only her and I understood it. Right. You know, and it was like such a moment, you know, that we shared together. You know, she was saying how one of her New Year's resolutions was going to be to like go on a diet and try plant-based eating. And she said that she went to a baby shower and they had baby shower food. And immediately we understood each other. We're like, all right, fried chicken, meatballs, you know, rice, like that's the baby shower food. So we giggled about it. But I'm like, see, that's why I try to curate this space. You know, so you don't have to, you know, break things down or feel like I don't understand what you're talking about because I got you, you know, and I understand what you're saying. So yeah, I curate that space just for women of color. And my primary focus is really to make sure that we are putting ourselves first in everything that we do. So self-care doesn't turn into aftercare. You know what I mean? Like,
well, explain that.
Well, we need to start, I think, building self-care into our days. Like, it needs to be an everyday, daily practice. And I tell people, like, it doesn't have to be a big thing. Like, when we think of self-care, we think of massages and we think of getting your hair done, nails done, which all of those things are self-care. But it can also be like, you know, making sure you eat your favorite meal. You know, like you get it from your favorite place. You know, or something like, you know, making sure you drink water that day. or also, making sure that you are saying your affirmations and knowing that like these are all ways that you are building into yourself. So it doesn't have to be like a big thing that is self-care, but just something that's meaningful to you. And these are things that we're doing now and building into our day. So then once we start to, get sick and because when we're stressed, actually our body tells on us. Our body tells on us. So what happens in your stomach turned up, it's headaches, we're walking around like this, shoulders are we all stressed out, and then we gotta go to the doctors, and then we have to figure out what the issue is after. So we don't need to focus on the after. We need to focus on it right when it's every single day in our faces.
And I agree with you. I think self-care should be every day. I think for men and women, because we deal with a lot throughout the day. You're at home, you're at work, you drive through work. That's work, it's a lot we deal with. And coming home, back home is such a underrated blessing. A lot of people don't understand that. We always be home, but a lot of people don't call home. So, and in self-care, so when I eat your favorite meal, to drink water, affirmations, even praying. That's self-love. Taking a nap, that's self-care. Taking time to decompress. Like, have no sound. You have your eyes closed. You just decompressing. That's self-care because you want to make sure you're the right frame of mind when you talk to your wife or your husband. You know what I mean? Boyfriend, girlfriend, that, hey, listen, I need to get in the right space or I won't snap on you. You know what I mean? So I won't be in a place I'll turn you away because I went through for that day. So it's so important. So you spoke on about you try to promote healing through breaking generational curses and listening to its own voice. So why is that so important to you?
Because one, we know what's best, but also imposter syndrome is a whole nother beast that comes in and convinces us that, why you and who do you think you are and you can't do that, you're not ready for that. Like those are the things that imposter syndrome tells us. And after a while, we start to believe those things and we start to listen to it. So that becomes like our new voice, that we hear in our head. So we're always kind of battling against imposter syndrome. And I tell people also, like, I want them to embody, not even just them, I want everybody to embody the feeling of, why not me? You know what I mean? Like, I've worked hard for this, whatever this is, I put in the grind, the time, the effort, I'm deserving of this. Why not me? Why are these things, why can't they happen for me? You know what I mean?
Exactly. So now you started your practice for therapy for women of color.
Right.
So what led you becoming a full-time author?
I think it's like the next chapter in my journey, the next chapter in my life. Like I said, writing has always been something that's just come very easy to me. It's just always been something that's, natural. And I always said I would write a book. Like I actually ran into an old supervisor that I had at the HIV clinic from, 10 plus years ago. And she said, Janay, you said then you were going to write a book. And I said, I didn't even remember that. It was just second nature. And like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Eventually, I don't know when, but it's going to happen. And, for her to even say that to me, that I was saying those things, 10, 15 years ago, just makes me so happy. Because it's like, again, I didn't know, what the path was, but I knew it was my path. So for me right now, I write about mental health. I write about Black people experiencing mental health issues. I write about it in a very creative way. So it's very much like, I like to think of it like, you ever see Soul Food, the movie?
Yes.
Of course, yeah. And I think about, I write it like Uncle Pete up in the attic. That's who I'm writing about, and different families who like have these members in their family who may be experiencing these things, and we're like, oh, that's just Uncle Pete, that's just how he is, he's just always been like that. And it's like, well, no, maybe, there's something here to that. And instead of us sweeping it under the rug, like, let's talk about it. Let's figure this out. Because sometimes those things can be generational as well.
Right. We don't address it. We don't address it that a person be, or we're not going to address it, but we have to address it because that addressing it can open so many doors to healing, but also having rough conversations. So it's so important. So, how many books do you have out right now, and it was multiple books. What was your first book that you wrote?
My first book, I have three. I have three out now, and I have another one coming out in 2 weeks. And then I have 2 more coming out in 2023. Yeah, so I typically publish, or I try to publish like every 6 months or so. And that's only because like right now I feel like I have the time for it, I have the energy for it, I'm ready for this. I'm ferocious about writing. I just love the process and just creating something, and taking it from just my little ideas in my head and making it into like this massive novel is such like, a beautiful thing. But yes, I have 3 books out, and my first book was Hey Brown Girl. Yeah. So that's my book baby. That's the one I think I'm the most known for. And that one is very heavy with mental health. They go through therapy in the book. There's different family sessions that they do. And it's also a generational book. So it looks at grandma's story. It looks at mom's story. It looks at the teenager story and how they're all intertwined.
Is that a children's book?
It's a
like a chapter book.
It's a little bit older. I would say like teenagers and also like young adult.
And what's the other 2 books we have?
The other 2, they're also young adult, but really anyone can read them except for younger kids, I would say, because that one has a lot more heavier content, and that one deals with like schizophrenia, autism, what that may look like. So yeah, those themes are a little bit heavier, but definitely like every book that I write has like a mental health component to it.
Oh, I love it. I definitely got to talk with you. I had someone that I know that's on the spectrum, so I'm trying to.
And so many people are undiagnosed. They really are. And
the parents are scared to get them tested. That's the thing. And that's a shame because people are so against it. I know you need to get tested so you know what's going on in your child, because these children are growing up differently now. That are being raised differently. Most of them went through a pandemic. Being home for, again, they have seen their friends and interactions. So, they got all they see is a computer, or iPad. That's it. They go outside for the year. And plus the gun violence has gone way up. So you can't be outside. You can't sit on the step. You can't go to the playground by hearing gunshots. So that has raised a lot more attention, and the children's development is not the same anymore. So
and a lot of times too, people that are diagnosed with like autism or like on the spectrum or something, they're very talented and like creative things. So they could be musically inclined, they could be artists, they could be painters, poets. Like they're really good at like something, but a lot of people don't really know that they need to nurture that. Or even how to, if someone is, autistic or may or may not be. So yeah, it would just be so beneficial for people to just take it a step further and, get a diagnosis, get more information about it, because, we want children who are diagnosed or like on the spectrum to operate at their highest capacity. So as a parent, we need to nurture that.
Right, exactly. I totally agree with you. You said you had 2 more books coming out 2023.
Yes.
How do you set time to write for this book that's coming out maybe June, and then how you set time to write for the next book that comes out, like for example November? Do you set time? Okay, I write for this book this day, and then I write for this book this day. How do you set time for that? How do you organize that?
I'm a planner. I'm a planner freak. Yeah. But when it comes to writing, I literally build it into my day just like I would taking a shower. You know, just like I would, brushing my teeth. Like, those are things that I'm going to do anyway. So I'm going to write. That is non-negotiable for me. And I do it every single day. But the thing about it, too, is I do a very, very detailed outline from beginning to end of the book. And so when it comes down to actually sitting down and writing it, I'm only writing one chapter at a time. I'm just doing it every single day. So when I sit down, I'm only looking at that chapter. I already know what I need to write. And I'm looking at it's my 3P. It's my 3 chapters. I'm looking at the chapter before that I just wrote because I need to build upon that. And then I need to set it up for the next chapter I'm about to write. So, but mainly I'm only focused on just that one chapter, so I'm not overwhelming myself.
Right, exactly. So that's definitely important. So, no, I'm trying to start thinking. So, besides your books that you're doing, that's already out, because you already said plan for the end of this year, what's next for you?
Anything really, anything I think I set my mind to, anything I really decide that I'm going to do, it's really already done. Just because, again, I've decided that that's what it is. But for right now, I'm just focusing on my books. I really want to put all of my energy into that, and also my therapy business, and making sure that, sis, keep the lights on,
Right.
But I'm just full steam ahead with my books, because my ultimate goal is I can't wait for Netflix or somebody to call and say, let's make a movie.
Yes.
That's the goal.
Yes. I would definitely love that. So you do a lot. You are author, therapist. You do a lot in terms of mental health, things like that. You probably said this already, answered responses, but what do you do for self-care?
I love going to the spa. Ooh. I love going to the spa. I'm talking about like lap of luxury, like some real dramatic stuff. Like, bring me my wine glass by the pool, real luxurious. No, but yeah, I love going to the spa. I love walking. There's this really nice park that is around the corner from me, and it has a really big lake. So I love walking around it, and that's why I did it this week while it was warm. But I just feel so centered and so grounded, and I come out of that forest with so many just fresh ideas and just different thoughts that came to me just because I allowed myself to just be quiet and listen. So I love doing that. I love good food. I love seafood. And I really try to, I'm very big on affirmations as well. Really looking at myself every day in the mirror, again, why not me?
Why not you?
So those are things that I truly say to myself every single day. And I just try to manifest as much as I can, for as long as I can.
That's right. What advice would you give to the younger Janay Harden?
That's a good question. I want to say, again, why not me? But I already said that, so I'm going to say, you are enough. Yeah, and you've always been enough.
Yeah, we gotta say that so that you are enough, despite what you've been through. You're still enough. You're still worth it.
Yeah.
So where people can find information about your books, get your books, and also about your practice, for those who may be seeking therapy or consultation for your services, where people can find more information about you.
So all of my books are on Amazon. You can search my name, Janay Harden, and my therapy website is my name too. It's janayharden.com, and my author website is Nay Writes. So it's NAYWRITES.com. So naywrites.com. So you can find all of my books. I also have a lot of merchandise as well. I have Hey Brown Girl beach towels, blankets, bonnets. I got a little bit of everything. So I have a lot of merchandise. And I do have a few groups that I'm starting for Black women. So I have a lot of women that I see that are like really powerful, like some doing big time work in the community. So I want to create some sort of mastermind and get them all together and just kind of feed off of each other and get, you know, a group setting together, because we're better together, you know, in groups, in community. So so that will be coming up on the horizon. And then other than that, if you ever see me in the street, you know, tell me to slow down, because I have the tendency to do too much. So just reminding myself, you know, that I don't have to do it all right away.
Right. And last question about your therapy services. Are they virtual, in person, or both?
All services are virtual.
Virtual.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, author Janay Harden, thank you so much for being a guest on our show. Say hi to Brenda for me.
That's my boo.
Yes. Thank you so much for doing the work that you're doing, promoting generational curses, breaking generational curses, and healing. You know. Thank you for that. I'm definitely gonna follow up with you. Hope we get you back on, explore more your books. You know, because I think your book is so important to the community and it's needed right now. So, as we start a new year, 2023. So, thank you so much. We'll be back with our next guest in a few minutes. So, tune in, going strong to the Spans Radio Show. We'll be back here for you. Thank you so much.